So I think we'll get started. And tonight we're going to be talking about nutritional healthy tips in isolation. We're here with Dr. Justine Blaney. It's really important that if you have any questions and you want to keep them confidential, you can text Justine directly at the number below, and she'll be happy to make sure that you get that information. And if you, we also are monitoring the comment section, so you're welcome to do that. But please note that if you do comment, that what will happen is that you unfortunately are not able to, we can actually see your name, and we can see your name. So there is, if you want to keep it confidential, just text your questions directly to Dr. Justine, and she has a section at the end that she'll be talking about. So Dr. Justine is a chiropractor here in Brampton, and she owns Justine Blaney Wellness Clinic. It's a natural healthcare clinic. She is a world-renowned athlete in multiple sports, but she also is an author and is very passionate in making sure that she helps anybody and everybody right now, especially while we were at home. Dr. Justine, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Hello, everybody. I miss everybody and definitely want to get information out to people. If I can't see you, I still want you to have this information. So we have some cool topics today. Today is about nutrition in isolation. And I know that when I'm home, I want to go to the fridge. So it is tough to stay away from the fridge and to find new ways to stay busy. So we're going to talk about how to eat healthy through these tough times, make sure we don't add corona pounds or don't come out different shape at the end of this isolation. But coming up, we have our arthritis talk. We have our core strengthening talk. We have a healthy feet, knees, and hip class. That's one you can follow along. We're going to have 10 exercises just for your toes and your feet, your foundation. We're going to have a class on sleep, and we're going to have one on that's, close to my heart. It's on Alzheimer's, dementia, and brain fog. It's something that's affected 2 of my grandparents. We're going to follow up with weight loss and partner massage. Going to get my husband Blake helping me. So we're going to keep these going for the next 2 months. Angela's helping me. And our goal is to get as much information to you. So when you do go to YouTube, I've tried to create over 20 different videos. My family, I think, is sick of me asking them to tape me, but I want to help you. So if you have neck stretches, if you need upper back stretches, if you need low back stretches, if you need to know how to lift your pots when you're gardening, or how to lift properly, or how to stretch when you're raking, or how to vacuum properly, clean properly without hurting your back. There's just so much information there. I've tried to add tons, from breathing exercises to stress. So please see our YouTube. And if you want me to add something else for you, I know Erica asked for upper back stretches. So she asked for how to stretch before doing your outdoor gardening. So I created it for her. So if there's something you want to know about, please text me, let me know. And I'd be happy to create a video to help you specifically, as well as do our free wellness talks. We've always done phone calls for free. If you have questions, we're just a phone call away. Dr. Blake and I were there to help you. All right, so starting with nutrition, and right, this is the tough time when we want to snack. So the first part is a self-check, all right? And that's looking to find out what is important to you. And you can do that by really looking at where you spend your money, and where you spend your time, and where you spend your energy. If you look in your fridge, is it mostly green and vegetables, or are they mostly containers and frozen foods? When you look at your pantry, is it mostly things in a box, a bag, or a can? Or is that section small? So really looking at how you spend your time and how you think about your food in advance. Do you put time into shopping and planning your meals? And honestly, this is not my forte. Luckily, I have an amazing husband, so he sits down with us and talks it out with us on what's the plan. And sometimes you can't plan 7 days in a row, but maybe you can plan the next 3. I know when I am at my best, it's because I pre-prepared my salads. I pre-prepared my boiled eggs. I know what my routine for my nutrition is. I know what my routine for my exercise is. I'm staying with a routine that my body's um, comfortable with, and then I have more energy versus feeling like I'm having a pajama day every day, or just sluggish through the days, like a Sunday every day. So we also want to look at our grass-fed, free-range wild and talk about those healthy proteins to make sure we're not adding toxicity to our thoughts and to our bodies with our nutrition. So we're going to cover some of that today. All right. So some part of it is these mental barriers. I know when I'm stressed out, I want to go for the bad foods. I want to go, even if bad foods for me is nuts and cheese, and not chocolate. Typically, I'm going for my comfort foods. So we want to make sure that we're not feeling deprived. We're looking for food for fuel. And we're making sure that we realize that there's conflicting information and you can have questions. And that's why we're here to provide this information for you. Are you somebody that's good with the low carb diet, paleo diet, keto diet? What is the best plan for you? I know sometimes we're worried about budget concerns, and now with different people maybe not working, that creates a fear. So we're going to talk a little bit about where do you go organic and where you don't. Um, and I know when I was trying to work with weight loss, that past failures can affect us. That can make us feel like, well, why bother? Or why don't we try afterwards? Like, who cares about our diet right now? We're under so much stress versus changing our mindset into a positive way and saying, now is the time. Now I have the time to focus on one new recipe every single week and plan out what I need when I go shopping so I have all the recipes for that one new recipe. And to plan out mentally and saying, I'm going to try a new vegetable every single week. And if you've tried all the vegetables, I'm going to cook that vegetable in a different way, something that I've never done before. For example, this week my husband made grilled cauliflower. I'm going to decline. That's my mom. She must be listening in. So I'm just going to, sorry, mom. All right. So grilled cauliflower with turmeric, and it wasn't something we'd had before, but it was awesome. So looking at, oh, there he is right there, grabbing my husband, grabbing the phone. I will need that back for questions and answers. So looking at different routines. So we want to add one new recipe. We want to add one new vegetable every week and think about taking one processed food away every week. What is something that you typically would eat each week that really isn't um, fresh, right? Is not something that comes out of a can, comes out of a bottle, comes out of a bag, comes out of a box. What can you take away every week? So add two, take away one, and look at changing that mindset of how we look at our food. Our food is for energy. Our food is for fuel. Our food is to make us healthier, not just to get by. All right, so there are three major dangers with respect to our nutrition: too much sugar, too much toxins, and not enough of the good fats. We've lived in this like low fat world to for weight loss. And really we want to actually add the healthier fats. And we're going to go through why today. So we're going to talk about revolutionizing your diet, looking at cleaning up our carbs, getting the healthier carbs, fixing our fats for those healthier fats, going for those perfect proteins, and trying to get rid of those toxins, those foods with pesticides, GMO foods, foods that are not really serving us. All right, so we're going to go through some myths today, and many of us have grown up with these myths, and I know I have as well. So again, it's about changing that mindset about food, as food being about the party and that even I think with Easter, we used to think about food. Easter, we'd all talk about who's bringing what and what are we eating. First, about what's happening in everybody's life, and I think this year that kind of changed because of Zoom calls or connecting by phone. The focus was on connection instead of on food. So today our goal is to make sure our focus is on quality, not quantity of food, and getting rid of those myths, the stinking thinking that we have about food and how it affects our bodies, and the food and how that it's the way it's always been, or that's the way my parents were, so I would always be. So the first one myth is I have bad genes. So if my parents have diabetes, my parents have heart disease, I'm going to have the same thing. So why try? And what we know is that, yes, genetics do play a small role, but 90% of what's happening to our lifestyle and happening to our bodies with respect to the chronic disease is related to lifestyle factors. And those lifestyle factors, majority it has to do with food choices. And so that's why we're covering that today. One of the biggest things that we want to worry about is inflammation. And I know that most people think about inflammation, you think of a swollen ankle, like inflammation that you can see, like you bang your thumb or you bang your elbow, you see a bruise, you feel pain. But the worst and the scariest kind of inflammation is the kind you can't feel. For example, I've had patients come in and they've been diagnosed with a fatty liver, and they're like, "How'd I get that? I can't feel that." Well, it's the same thing with inflammation. It can be caused by sugars, which affect your insulin levels, those damaged fats, and those toxins. And inflammation is not just in your joints, it affects all the different organs in your body. It affects your blood system, it affects your energy, it affects your thinking, it affects your brain. So, all of this nutrition is about how, when we eat better, we have better gas for our cars, our machines, they function better. But it's the same for us. The better the fuel, the better the function, the better we're able to cope with the challenges we're facing today. So the first part about is creating a new value system, putting our value on the good gas, on the good fuel, because we know that it's so easy to follow those bad habits. And I know once I start one bad habit, then I get off track completely. So, for example, if I don't have a good fitness program and it laid out specifically different now because I can't go to the gym, can't easily go for run with friends, I need to write out my exercise program so that I had a day-to-day program, and that allowed me to stick to a better nutrition program, especially when I follow with intermittent fasting. So the better I set up a plan, the better I can be a good example to others, my family, but also have better expectations for myself. Remember, our actions speak louder than what we say. So everything that we're doing as parents, grandparents, our children are watching. When we're sneaking a cookie, they see it. All right. When we're not exercising, they see it. So our actions are crucial, and we want to create so that nutrition is at the forefront of our one of our top priorities. I don't think anybody can argue that if you don't have proper nutrition, you cannot be the healthiest and be your best. You cannot fight off challenges, stress, infection at your best if you don't have good fuel in the system. So second myth is that counting calories, and I used to do this with, whether it was Weight Watchers or all the different types of sort of weight programs, especially through my 20s, that I would count my calories. But we know that calories aren't the same. So you cannot look at almonds, for example, that are huge amount of energy with the almonds as the same as eating a Twinkie, even though they have the same amount of calories. Really, again, we want to focus on the quality food. We want to look at those high sugar areas, and the challenge is that many of these sugars are hidden, and they're hidden in the things that we love, unfortunately. So I'm just going to give you a list of some of the things that are hidden. Things like pasta sauces, pasta sauces on pizza. Even if you get the whole grain pizza or you get the cauliflower crust pizza, but you get the tomato sauce. They're hidden in our salad dressings. Like, that's just not fair. Like, you think you're having a salad dressing, and yet you realize that you're adding sugars to it. Hidden in our breads, hidden in our crackers, hidden in yogurts, condiments like ketchup, relish, hidden in things, even canned foods. Reality is we love sugar. And so we know that if something tastes sweeter, more people will buy it. And so it's important to almost wean yourself off sugar. And for me, I haven't had, I typically stick to anywhere between 2 to 5 grams of sugar max a day. And goal is to be under 7. but it is hard. And in the first sort of, they say 3 weeks. To me, it was closer to 3 months. It takes time to train so that you're not craving for those sugars, craving for those foods, and then switching to the healthier sugars, which we're going to cover up later. In that time, we do have to have grace for ourselves. But what I want to promise you, like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, is now everything tastes so much better. Um, when I have a raspberry, it tastes so amazing. If I have a strawberry, it tastes so good. So it changes your taste buds and allows you to be able to have actually better experience if you can get through that initial hump. The last thing that I wanna make sure is just being aware of the other types of sugar that they hide in food. So it may not say sugar, but it might say high fructose corn syrup, HF, SC, so high fructose corn syrup. Any type of corn syrup is bad for you. And these fake sugars like Splenda, NutraSweet, um, they are even worse for you. They know that that makes you fatter, it makes you want more sugar, it makes you have more sugar cravings. We know that sugar is related to all diseases, not just things like obesity, but sugar is related to heart disease, diabetes, chronic fatigue, irritable bowel, depression, you name the disease, sugar is related to it. So getting this under control, now's the time. You have time to try new foods. Instead of worrying about the different calories, focus on as many calories as you want, but quality foods, looking towards filling our plate half green every single time. Maybe, like today for my dinner, my entire plate was green and then added other vegetables into it. So changing that focus, um, and looking towards, if you can't do it every meal, maybe you're going to do it one meal of every single day is going to be 75% green. If we look at sugars, the artificial sugars are the worst, but we can look to natural sugars. I find stevia has a little bit of an aftertaste. If I did make a cake for my husband's birthday, he didn't like it much because it was made keto style, but I liked it. But again, sugar tastes different for me now that I haven't had sugar for um, almost a year and a half. But other sugars that can be great are monk fruit. It tastes great to me. It takes a while, but it's usually a 1-to-1 ratio, as well as xylitol. Or looking towards things like unpasteurized honey, pure maple syrup, and so slowly change your way. Now, when I have coconut cream, it tastes extremely sweet to me. So, as you make that change, you will find that your taste buds change and you will be able to enjoy these more natural sweeteners in easier and be easier for you. The next myth is fat makes you fat. I certainly fell for that, wanting to cut off all the fat from meats, or if I had pork chops or if I had fish, I would, try and cut off that skin. Um, fat from yogurt or fish or nuts. But really, it's about the quality of fat, staying away from those trans fat, of course, staying away from those fried foods. And so now's the time again with those new recipes to look to ways you can add healthy fat. So, for example, for breakfast today, I had an omelet with spinach, lots of spinach, and half an avocado. For my dinner today, huge salad, again with a half of an avocado. And then sesame seeds and adding different types of nuts and sunflower seeds so that you can get those healthy fats into your body, which fill you up. So when you're feeling like you want those cravings or you're just feeling hungry all the time, now's the time to fill up your tank with those healthy fats. It helps you deal with those cravings. When you have those healthy fats, it helps your cell membranes, it helps you absorb vitamins, it helps you lower your inflammation, it helps you protect yourself from different temperatures, it helps your hormone balance. It even healthy fats help brain function because 70% of your brain is related with those healthy fats. So some of the healthy fats that we want to look at is the extra virgin olive oil, avocados, coconut oil, coconut cream, coconut butter, nuts, seeds. healthy cheeses, healthy fish, which means that it's wild, not farmed, um, looking at healthy free range eggs, and really, the biggest one, like I said before, is staying away from canola oil and corn oil. If you see the words canola oil and corn oil, run away because those are the ones that are toxic. And as we look towards these healthy changes, now's the time to look for recipes, even if you want to bake. How can you bake staying away um, from sugars using things like applesauce, xylitol, honey, maple syrup, or monk fruit, and staying away from canola oil and looking towards adding eggs if you are not vegetarian or vegan, and looking towards adding healthy ghee, healthy butter, healthy coconut to change the way you cook. Another myth is that fat in meats causes heart disease, cancer, osteoporosis, and kidney disease. Um, Blake today made a big, huge steak. Teo and my son and him were enjoying that tonight. I am a vegetarian, so I choose towards more vegetarian sources of protein. But what I want you to know is that the fat in your meat is not the problem. The problem is the trans fats, the synthesized area. So you can eat your meat as long as it's in moderation. So I know, if we went to the keg or we went out to a fancy restaurant before I turned vegetarian, it was like the 10-ounce steak. Yeah, right. The thicker the better, or go for the filet mignon bacon wrapped. Well, we know that bacon is a carcinogenic, it is something that you want to have in absolute moderation. And we also know that you want to have your steak, your filet in moderation. So typically that's 4 to 6 ounces, and that's about the size of your palm, not the size of your entire hand. So when you're looking at your proteins, about the size of your palm. So today with my big salad, I had 2 boiled eggs. Um, and then you're looking towards the majority of your plate, the size of your palm, or 75% of your plate being vegetables. Some of the challenges with conventional meat is the pesticides, how those animals grew up. Remember, you are what you ate. So the soil isn't the same, the animals aren't being fed the same. So that's why you want to go with wild meats, and you want to go ones that are free range and free run. That means the animal is not cooped up, the animal is allowed to run around. We also want to be careful with how much protein that you actually have because it can lead to acidity. So, looking for 30 grams or less per day and in smaller amounts, not all at once, like that big 10-ounce, 12-ounce, or even worse, 18-ounce steak that was some part of way I grew up, and now know that that isn't the healthiest way. And if you are at a restaurant soon when we can go back, that's when you just cut it in half and take home, enjoy it again the next day. Also being very, very careful that of how you might grill those meats, because we know that grilling can be challenging. So not something that delicious for my family. For me, it might be a portobello mushroom or fish, but just being cautious that grilling on a regular basis can be as unhealthy as well. We want to look at adding those good fats. And so be careful that we want to add those good omega 3s because often we have too much omega 6 compared to omega 3s in our body. So when we're looking at changing those animals, those proteins, again, we want grass fed. You can find this in Brampton at Fortino's. You can find that free range chicken and eggs at Healthy Planet. I've been there. It's not as busy, easier to go to. Has lots of great stuff. Wild caught fish, again, you can ask for this at the grocery store and looking for natural sources of dairy. Next myth, you need 5 to 8 servings of grains every day, that you should have, cereal for breakfast, a bagel for breakfast, a muffin for breakfast, pancakes for breakfast, French toast. I mean, this is how I grew up too. Instead of looking towards protein, and even if you are somebody who loves your cereal, for example, are you adding coconut milk? Are you adding hemp seeds, chia seeds, goji berries? How can you make that even healthier for you? Can you make sure that you measure the amount of cereal? I know I was guilty when I used to love Vector. I was guilty of a Vector and then slowly switched to hemp cereal and then no cereal. Now it would be grain free nuts and seeds. But in that process, when I was a Vector lover, because it's high sugar, tastes great, at the time, I would fill the bowl. And then I had to slowly learn how to take the measuring cup and actually measure the amount of cereal because I knew I was just eating too much. And the same with oatmeal. Got to measure that quarter cup because heart and stroke kind of makes you feel like oatmeal is healthy for you, but it turns to sugar. So you still have to be careful. I'm not saying no grains. That's not my point. If you're on a keto diet, that would be completely different. But there are healthier grains. You want whole grains, sprouted grains, things like Ezekiel bread. And you do need to limit the amount because it does turn to a sugar. So it's not none. It's just less, but go for the better stuff because grains make you feel hungry quickly. People who eat that for breakfast at 10 o'clock, they're hungry again, versus me who does intermittent fasting with a fat fast. So I have my coconut cream and I'm still good. Get to the office 5:30, quarter to 6, and at noon I'm fine to eat at that time. So if you have the healthier foods and you retrain your body, you can look towards going towards that intermittent fasting, which means you're just eating in a smaller window with healthier foods. And again, it's a training process, but use the time now, if you are working from home, to be able to kind of retrain your routine. But it takes creating a plan, writing out your plan. This week I'm going to eat in a 14-hour window, next week in a 13-hour window, next week in a 12-hour window, next week, and slowly going down towards a 6-hour window. Some days of the week, it doesn't have to be every single day. I'm going to lower and limit my grains. Okay, you know what? I'm going to enjoy my cereal or my hemp cereal with hemp seeds and chia seeds 3 days a week. But on the other days of the week, I'm going to make sure I have boiled eggs, poached eggs, an omelet, right? I'm going to do 1 day a week. I'm going to, on the weekend, I'm going to get up later. So I'm going to skip breakfast. And my first meal of the day is going to be technically lunch, but it's going to be a big healthy salad. Filled with all sorts of different new vegetables and radishes, and trying to aim for lots of, bean sprouts to change that first meal. Just going through back to I forgot with respect to the grains, just realize that the grains are different than they were before. So I know, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, our grandparents would have grains, but the way grains are made and planted is not the same today. So for example, with wheat, it used to be 4 feet tall. Now it is 2 feet tall. It used to be very hardy. Now it's soft. It used to be higher in protein than it is now. It is now higher in gluten than it used to be. So just taking a look that unfortunately the way the grains are being processed is not the same. So another reason to try and limit our grains. The next myth is that cholesterol causes heart disease. And there's so much about cholesterol that it's bad for you, or you'll see low in cholesterol. But I want you to know that we need cholesterol. Cholesterol is the building blocks of our hormones in our body. And so cholesterol is not the problem. We absolutely need cholesterol. It's the oxidation of that cholesterol that causes problems. And people with low cholesterol tend to have higher problems of heart disease than those with high cholesterol. So we need cholesterol for our hormones to make bile so that we can digest our fats. It helps with neurological function, helps with brain function, it helps with repair and protecting our cells. It helps with overall healing. So again, we want to be careful with the oxidation, and that's foods that create inflammation that will affect our cholesterol. We don't want to worry about that we have cholesterol at all. There's a lot of challenges, and you'll just read so much about the FDA and the WHO right now. What I want you to do is make sure you're always looking at common sense and making sure that you make informed choices, not choices made for you by the FDA. Realize that the FDA has already approved, over 3,000 chemicals that are not healthy for us, approved lots of GMO products that are not healthy for us, especially things like in our corn, in our cotton, in our canola. So be weary and make informed choices and to try and avoid things that are pesticides or GMO. There are toxic foods, and these have been approved. Things like your GMOs, your pesticides, dangerous additives, and those dangerous additives can look like natural sugars, natural supplements. So be very careful how they put it on the packaging, um, because they hide often the ingredients that are in our food. So again, if it's in a package, it often is not as good if you didn't have a package at all. And then, of course, a lot of our foods are affected by hormones and antibiotics. So we see in order for the farmers to be able to grow more, um, uh, often these foods and our grounds and our soil is just not the same as it was before. We want to be careful that we are aware of the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15, which you can look up on ewg.org. Definitely being aware of the Dirty Dozen. And those are the ones that, if you do buy those things like peaches and strawberries, that you really wash them well and you look towards organic, especially in the Dirty Dozen. And then in the Clean 15, you're often a little bit safer, especially things with a heavy peel, to be able to go non-organic when we're trying to conserve dollars. When we look at the next myth, eating healthy is boring, tasteless, or too hard to do. Um, I used to follow or think like that too. But it is, use that as a challenge right now. Tons of recipes online. I love to look at recipe books and then I give them to my husband, the chef in the family. But look for those cool colors, all sorts of different colors and changes that you haven't been used to. And that can make a difference for you. It doesn't have to be the same thing every day. And when you add those new vegetables, know that it may take time to get used to the new vegetables because you're not used to it. I know for me, for example, cooked spinach, it is not something that I was first loving, especially I wasn't a vegetarian at the beginning. Now have been for over 10 years, but it took a while to think of a portobello mushroom like a steak. Right. And how can you prepare the portobello mushroom in all different ways, whether it's um, with mustard or with cheese or with egg or with avocado or with different types of spices. Like you can change the way you do things and look towards using the internet and using your time now to focus your time, your energy, your dollars on new, exciting recipes that could be fun to do as a family. In our family, what we've, during these times, we don't have as much help. So the kids are doing 2 meals a week each. My husband's doing the meals, and we're looking together towards planning those out to make it better for everybody. There is a common belief that I don't need to take supplements. I get the foods from my diet, and that's unfortunately just not true. The soil is not the same. The foods are not the same. The apple today is not the apple 20 years ago. The cabbage, the lettuce, the spinach is not the same. When we cook the food, it's not the same. So, really, truly, trying to eat as healthy as possible. I still believe we need some core supplements, especially in these times of increased stress and increased difficulty, maybe to get the healthy foods, the healthy vegetables that you might want. I know for a while couldn't find eggs or couldn't find, wild fish. So if there's challenges to get those healthy foods, that's especially the time to be looking towards some of the main supplements. So at this time, I'm going to go through some of the supplements to look at that are the most important. The quality of your food does affect your nutrient content. So just looking that even the pollution, our environment, our foods, the rain, that's affecting the quality of foods. And that's why we would want to look towards some healthy supplements, because we could end up being deficient in different types of minerals. And right now it would be very difficult to get tested if you are deficient in the different nutritional areas, seeing as many of those naturopaths or healthy holistic nutritionists are not available to you at this time. So some of the nutritional deficiencies that you might see are in calcium, vitamin D, iron, B12, folate, and magnesium. If we're calcium deficient, this can happen in our older adults and our seniors. It isn't more milk, all right? Like that's a whole great marketing myth. But you want to make sure in our children, in our seniors, and where you can see if you're calcium deficient, you might have muscle cramps, abnormal heart rhythms. If you're vitamin D deficient, you might find that you have fatigue, muscle cramps, weakness. Vitamin D, of course, is the sunshine vitamin, so it would also be great for your immune system. Iron, you might find in vegetarians and vegans, menstruating women and children. Preschool children. So you might see anemia, fatigue, pale skin, or thinning of the hair, loss of hair. Even with these increased stress times, people can be losing their hair, the skin can be changing. Vitamin D12, definitely really important for your vegans, your vegetarians, your older adults. You might see signs of fatigue, swollen, inflamed tongue, memory loss, numbness and tingling, challenges with your balance because B12 is involved in all nerve functions. With folate, this can affect people who are lactating, so very important. Women, children, people with GI concerns, irritable bowel, might end up with fatigue or cold sores in your mouth, poor growth, color changes affecting your hair, your skin, your nails. And finally, with magnesium, can affect muscle cramps, nausea, vomiting, fatigue, weakness. And it can affect people, I know, having too many happy hours right now if we're home too much. And it can affect people with GI and affect our seniors. So looking at supplements and making sure that we can reach some of these areas of nutritional deficiencies that can be helped with at the minimum, a multivitamin. So if we look at some of the vitamins, though, they are not equal, all right? The Swiss, the Kirkland, the Farmer Plus, the Once a Day, the Centrum, they are not all equal supplements. Go to get some quality supplements at health food stores. They are still open. Things like Hooper's, Main and Queen in Brampton, or Healthy Planet. Look for those healthier places. Definitely look, your diet is first. Absolutely healthy diet is first. You cannot replace a poor diet with supplements. And you cannot replace a poor diet with exercise. I tried that, trying to eat more and just exercise like crazy, and that just led to injuries. So be very careful that you cannot replace your food with supplements, but you do want to go for quality supplements. So that's why I want to show you some things online. This is not the point of what's on our site. The important thing is looking at the types of vitamins that you should be getting. This one's just easy. I know opening all the packages, my husband hates it. So he gets kind of lazy. Personally, when I do my vitamins, I do 3 weeks. So I get all the containers out and I do 3 weeks of vitamins so that I only have to open the containers individually once every 3 weeks. I just went to the dollar store, got those containers that say Monday through Friday. My mom often will do, because she's beating cancer naturally, so she has lots of supplements. She'll get them all in her different containers for the 3 to 4 times a day and get it ready for the month even. So I do for the 3 weeks. This one is cool because when you are lazy, it just comes in one pack. You open the one pack for the day. And it has great products. So you have your multivitamin, you have your vitamin B, you have your vitamin D with probiotics, your essential oils, your omegas, those omega-3s, and your magnesium. So it covers all of them in those little packs, in the right doses for the men and women. If you look at the next one, looking at a multivitamin, just getting good quality multivitamins does make a difference. If you look at the next one, vitamin B is essential for stress. So your friends, your family, if they're under stress, especially if they're starting to get headaches or migraines, to get the good niacin, a B complex, and this one is a delayed release, so it's released over time, can help just to help all our metabolic processes. If you look at your omegas, you want those omega-3s. Many of us have too much omega-6 compared to omega-3. You want the DHA, you want the EPA. So to create that balance, looking at essential oil, there's multiple different kinds. We have them in our office, have them online, you have them at health food stores. But this is one of the ways to get healthy fats. It does help people with nerve concerns, stress, even hormonal concerns and depression. Been known to help people, autistic children, learning difficulties. So this is something for everybody. If we look at the next one, the magnesium, like I said before, helps with muscle cramps, helps, ideally you would get lots of it from your deep leafy greens. Some of us maybe don't eat as much of those greens, like I said, 3 times a day, 50 to 75% of your plate. Magnesium, if you are deficient, that does lead to chronic diseases like low blood sugar control, diabetes, heart disease, hypertension, osteoporosis, migraines. So magnesium is absolutely crucial for your health. If we look at vitamin D, this one has probiotics, prebiotics. We know that probiotics help our immune system. So this is the time now to be adding more to vitamin D3 to our diets for everybody, especially if you're under stress or in a feared state. So personally, something that all of my family have every single day. But when I did my blood work, you can see how pale I am. And I do not do well in the sun because I just burn. And I work inside and I work a lot. So if you're not a sun worshiper or you have dark skin, you do want to look at how much vitamin D you can get, anywhere between 2 to 5,000. The recommendations, this has 5. And if you have the prebiotics, that will help your body and your digestion system, help you handle it better, especially if you mix it with vitamin C and an essential oil, it will work better for you. I did have my blood work done and did it multiple times to realize that I need much more vitamin D than what's recommended to keep my vitamin D even just at average levels. So it is important to measure, if you could, you cannot right now, but to measure your iron, B12, and vitamin D levels. So there are different plans. The core plan, this is when everything's going great in your health. Your family is doing great. You're doing great. For the healthy families, you want to maintain your health, prevent diseases, and keep your weight at the same level. But the advanced plan, where we're going to go through, this is when you want hormone repair, when you want to work towards glucose or insulin resistance. You want to get your weight under control, help with inflammation or manage diseases. And you want to restore your overall health and hormonal balance. With the core plan, you want to reduce sugars, only go for the healthier sugars, reduce grains, go for the whole wheat, whole grain, sprouted grains, and the healthier meats, grass-fed, free-range, and wild meats. But with the advanced plan, we have 3 main rules. And with those 3 main rules, the first one is no sugar. All right. That includes anything that makes a sugar. So with that advanced plan, for the rule number 1, you're looking at that's no grains, that's no fruit, and less fruit things like your berries, grapefruit, or green apples. So you really, and that doesn't mean as much berries as you want or as many green apples. You're still limiting those sugars. And when you go through that advanced plan, you will find eventually those do fruits that you do have taste so sweet, because you changed the taste buds actually on your tongue. So the first one is no sugars, Evangela, if you'll change the slide. And the second one is the proteins, looking for those healthy proteins only, grass-fed, free-range, wild, and then removing those bad fats. So that's the trans fats, the fried foods, and looking to add those healthy fats like your almonds, like your avocados, your healthy seeds, nuts, coconut seeds, healthy cheeses, in order to add those things that fill you up. And this will help you with those cravings, especially when we're under stress. We have more cravings, and it creates that sugar craving cycle or that caffeine cycle. If you're on that, that's when you can do the butter coffee, where you can add the healthy creams, a healthy coconut cream into your coffee or tea. I'm a tea drinker, but add that, and that will help you with those cravings. And take the time to say, even if you put it on your phone, you just put a 10-minute timer. Do I really need this? When I'm going to the fridge, maybe you even have to put a sign on the fridge. Do I really need this? Is this fuel for my body? Maybe you have to have a mantra that you say every time you go to the fridge, or you set that timer. So yes, I'm hungry, but I'm going to wait 10 minutes to make sure that this is something that I'm eating for fuel, not for stress, not for boredom, and so that we can make healthier choices. The next slide is really, really important. The foods that you want to avoid are those ones with processed foods, processed carbohydrates, sugar substitutes, trans fats, anything that's rancid. Ideally, you want things that are not in a can, bag, or box. So some of the labels, do's and don'ts. The first step of the 4 rules for labels when you're going shopping is worry more about the ingredients than the amounts. All right. So you're looking at, can you read what's on the label? Do you understand everything in the label? If you cannot pronounce it, you don't buy it. If you don't know what it is, likely it's not good for you. Second rule is be question the different types of marketing. Know that when it says organic, that means maybe only part of it is organic. If it says natural, doesn't mean that could be pure marketing. Doesn't mean that all of it is natural at all. So very, very careful to read those labels and know that what's on the front of it. If it says nutritional or whole grain, a lot of the time the marketing is just that to get you to buy it, but it still could be full of sugar and preservatives. And the third rule is don't buy anything with MSG, artificial sugars, hydrogenated oils, refined flours, additives, colors, preservatives, chemical names, things that say natural flavors. These are the things that you want to avoid. And the fourth rule is always better no label. If it's just celery, it's celery. It doesn't have a bag. It doesn't have a label. If it's eggs, it's eggs. If it's spinach, it's spinach, or romaine lettuce. Go for things with no label, like an orange, an apple, banana, whatever the fruit you have. Always better to stay in the colorful aisles and fill your grocery carts in that area and the areas of the canned boxed, and make that the least amount rather than your top amount. As we're going shopping, the key is creating a plan. I know if I do go shopping, if I don't have a list, I'm buying way too much. I'm just almost buying what I see. Like, my eyes want more than what we actually need in our home. So, and that's definitely at Costco. So, definitely just making sure you're planning your week, or even just the next 3 days. Take 3 days at a time. Write out your meals for the week for the family. Have a list ongoing on the counter of what you truly need. and having your fridge stocked with the basics. So we always have two huge containers of different types of leafy greens, whether it's a mixed green in our spinach, huge container of romaine lettuce. With the kids home right now, it's, all of us eating salads 2 to 3 times a day. That is a staple in the home. Celery, radishes, bean sprouts. Looking, what is the staple in your home? What is in your fridge? Is that the main thing that you think is the healthiest thing? And could you just change one thing? The one more vegetable, one more area that is more organic, and taking away one processed thing. So stocking with those basics that are healthy for you, spending the time on the planning and on the healthy cooking at this time, spending the time on reading the labels. And if you don't want to do that in the grocery store, do that ahead of time at home online, and using the pesticide guide, the clean 15 and the dirty dozen, in order to make sure you make healthier choices. Some of the healthy tips is really establishing your big why. Why do you want to be healthy? Why do you want to eat healthy? Is it for looking good for your body? Is it for your own health? Is it because your fear of getting sick? Is it because you want to be a good leader for the other people in your household? Because you want to be a leader for your children or your grandchildren, or for your spouse, or your partner? Choosing the big why and writing that down will allow us to make our choices based on our priorities. Thinking about our food as our fuel, as our energy, instead of as our party or as our way to deal with boredom and stress. Making sure that the healthy snacks are available. And like my son says, don't buy ice cream. He'll tell us multiple times, don't buy ice cream, because then he eats it. If it's not in the home, it's a lot easier to avoid it. So make sure we get rid of those unhealthy items, and spend the time on a food journal. If you're feeling challenged about making the healthier choices and sticking to it, writing out our food and plan in advance, and then as we eat each day, to write down what we eat or to put it in your phone, will allow us to have a chance to analyze what we did that day. Because a lot of times we realize the day went by and we didn't have enough water. We didn't make the choices that we thought we were. We went for the cereal, as a snack, instead of just say a breakfast meal with your hemp seeds and your chia seeds. So looking at even a healthy smoothie, if we go there to that option too often and add too many fruits, we're actually still increasing a very sugary smoothie. So making sure that we're looking at even the healthy things, we can monitor the quality and the quantity by journaling. I put this here because our brain does control everything in your body. And so it controls all function, all healing, all energy. And so if your brain cannot send messages down your spinal cord to your digestive tract, then it doesn't matter all the things that I said already. You can eat all the healthiest foods, but if your body can't digest it, it doesn't matter. For example, if you have a car that does not work, the engine is broken, it does not matter if you put premium gas into it. So same thing here. We need to take care of our spine and our nervous system. And if you can't get to your chiropractor, now's the time to look on our website and on our YouTube, because I did a ton of videos on posture, exercises for your spinal health that you can do on your own at home. It's still really important to do your exercises, your stretches, your core fitness, your core strength, taking care of your foundation, your feet, your knees, your hips. That's why we're putting all these information out there for you. If I can't see you, I still want you healthy. We want you to have the best. I know all the chiropractors feel that way. All the physiotherapists feel that way. So please take advantage of our videos, share them with friends and family so they too can do work on their own in a time when they may not be able to get to their chiropractor for their regular adjustments and maintenance care. If you do show signs of subluxation, that means that your nervous system is not functioning well, your brain-body connection is not functioning well. You may have increased headaches, increased menstrual concerns, increased depression, decreased sleep, acid reflux, I've seen quite a bit recently. Depression, I've seen quite a bit recently in the office. Increased pain, I've seen more vertigo, numbness, and tingling at the office than we ever before. So, if you are subluxated and you're seeing these new signs, this may be the sign that acute condition is going on. You do need to contact your chiropractor and find a way. Either they can help you virtually or getting into the office. I want you to make sure you're aware of all of our different information. Share this with family. This is our gift to you. All of our videos, I've been actively making, 5 or 6 videos a week if I can, on the weekends, and getting my kids to tape me. So please share them, use them. Some of them are just 2 minutes long, like how to stretch in your shower every single morning, how to do a morning stretch every single day, how to vacuum without hurting your back. I have one coming up on how to lift your laundry, how to start your gardening without injury. So please share all the different videos and look towards the upcoming videos that we're going to try and do with the webinars every single week. Also, I know my good friend, Dr. Ryan French, on Sunday nights is having movement parties on Facebook. You can look there. So exercises that you can do for your spinal health, and you can do them as a family. And he's doing them with a family. Join them. Make sure that we're spending the time on improving our nutrition, improving our exercise, improving our mind, learning new skills, new language, new hobby. Find that time so that we can be healthier overall. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to text them again at 647-987-9355. That will keep them confidential. One of the questions was about the different types of oils. Sunflower oil is not as good, just like canola, is not as bad as canola oil. But grapeseed oil is higher on the list. Avocado oil, hemp oil. It's a change with your salad dressings. Organic olive oil we would use in our family with Bragg's apple cider vinegar or some of the different types of wine vinegars. So pine oil, so you can change your homemade salad dressing so you don't have the sugars, add your own spices to them. And ideally, you would not be having corn oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil, or definitely not canola oil, which is typically called rancid oil. So you want to stay away from those oils. And if you're cooking at high temperatures, ideally not, but it would be the coconut oil that would be better for you. All right. I think we're going on to the next one. Just a reminder of our upcoming events. Arthritis is coming next. And at the end, I've got 10 ways to deal with inflammation naturally. If you feeling like you have those swollen joints and want to learn how to help yourself, that's coming up. The core strength for those to protect your back, as well as your waistline. This is the one for you. And the healthy feet exercises, I think this is for everybody. Everybody should know the exercises to protect your foundation in your body. So you see the list. I'm excited about all these webinars and getting you the information and hopefully making it easy for you and your family to do from your home. I'm excited about this one. We've never done it as a webinar. It's always usually a big makeover, a big talk with over 100 people. Everybody's welcome. Normally there's a cost for our makeovers. This will be at no cost. And we're going to be talking about the stats of Alzheimer's, dementia, brain fog. We're going to be talking about the nutrition ways to help protect your brain and the exercises to help protect your brain and how to manage stress and how that affects our thinking. I know when I'm stressed out, I easily forget things. I even make a list and forget where my list is, or run upstairs and forget why I ran upstairs. So these are the things that we want to cover at the end of the month. Encourage everybody, welcome. This is a longer talk and we will have an opportunity for question and answer at the end. It is this time. This is the first time ever. It is a free event. We're going to finish with a video about loving ourselves. We are worthy. We are worthy of love. Even in these tough times, we want to feel good about ourselves. And who better than somebody we all know, will, in sharing our love and helping us feel good about our discipline for ourselves and making our health, our eating choices a priority.